Welcome to another kart race on a wet Sunday afternoon at Daytona Milton Keynes using the DMAX karts. 14 entries on the day, although 2 were removed during qualifying for falling short of the 125% rule, which leaves 12 drivers taking the start. A mixed standard of entries and difficult weather conditions meant that qualifying was tricky, with very few opportunities to get a clean lap in, as evidenced by me out-qualifying staff member Jimmy Holder. My best lap in the quali session was a 1:41.9, although due to yellow flags most of my laps were over 3 seconds slower than that. That did put me on the front row, but 1.4 seconds behind the pole sitter, Jason Hately, and 1.5 seconds ahead of Xianbu Yu in 4th. Given the difficult qualifying session, I had no idea how many good drivers were behind me following an unlucky qualifying session. Either way, I was starting second, knowing that overtaking offline in the wet would be difficult, so my best chance at a podium would just involve keeping it on the road and hopefully capitalising on other people's mistakes. So the green flag drops and we're off, and you can see Jason goes a little bit wide at turn 1. That gives me a better run coming into turn 2, but offline and cold tyres I just slide straight towards the barriers. Thankfully managed to avoid going too deep into the barriers and still come out in second place. Jimmy Hayter trying to pass on the inside through turn 4, but as I've got the outside wet line I get a better drive out of the corner, and following Jason into turn 5, again just taking the wet line around all these corners just where there's more grip and less sliding, trying to get the tyres up to temperature. So I'm through the opening corners, still pointing the right way, not a bad start. Jason and I had both been in the practice session earlier in the day, where while he had been quicker than me, he'd been off the road more often than I had. So my plan at this point was to keep it calm, try and stay with him, and hope he made a mistake that I could capitalise on. Coming up to turn 8, still in sight of Jason, but again turn 8 was a corner I struggled with all day, and it's only watching the video back that I realised I was not taking a wide line through there at all. Jimmy then goes past me, but as he's a staff member and gets a lap deleted, I'm ignoring him for the purpose of this video. He would go on to win the race on the track, even if he didn't in the official standings. Coming into turn 10, which was very slippery all day, you can see here that I run very wide and end up going off track, which happened repeatedly in qualifying and practice. Luckily I get away with it here and get back onto the track without losing a position and continue in second place. However, due to going offline there and something aggressive at the start, I get a calm down warning board for the first lap. Lap 1 done, and I'm 3 seconds behind Jason after making a mess of turn 10, and 1.3 seconds ahead of Xianbu Yu, who's in 3rd. Lap 2 was without major incident, although I lost another 2.5 seconds to Jason, but managed to gain 7/10 on Xianbu. Lap 3 and Jason continuing to pull away at the head of the race. Coming through turn 9 and passing Dimitri, who's beached on the outside, and then into turn 10, although this time I managed to make it round the corner without going off track. And then we come round the final corner and the mistake I'd been waiting for, Jason facing the wrong way, and suddenly I'm through into the lead. Jason clearly managed to right himself quite quickly as he crosses the line in 4th place, 4.7 seconds behind me. Still on lap 4, but already coming up to some of the back markers who were finding it tricky in the wet conditions. At the end of lap 4, I'd extended my lead to just over 4 seconds ahead of Zambo, who himself was being closely chased by Ethan Bloodworth and Jason Hately, with Jason still sitting 4th, potentially struggling to pass in the tricky conditions. Lap 5 was another solid one for me, as I extended my lead to 5 seconds, and Jason was still trapped in 4th place. Lap 6 and my talent runs out as I finally succumb to the slippiness in turn 10. A quick shot of the chasing group coming into the corner as I get away, thankfully still in the lead. As I crossed the line, I was still 5 seconds clear, although with Ethan now in second instead of Zambo. I'm not sure if I'd had a good lap up until the spin, or if my spin put the chasing pack off, or if Ethan lost time passing Zambo. Either way, I was not immediately punished for the spin. Lap 7 was clean as I tried to remain calm after my spin. Ethan did manage to take half a second out of my lead while putting a gap into Zambo, and Jason still stuck in 4th place. Lap 8 and we rejoin with Dimitri in the barriers and coming up to another bunch of back markers to pass. Quick check behind and you can see Ethan a few seconds back still chasing me in 2nd place. We're coming up to lap David Thomas, who pulls away from me on the back straight but is slow coming into turn 9. Without wanting to lose too much time for back markers, I decide to try and pass up the inside, but I find no grip and manage to spin round, and then disaster, I get blocked in by another back marker. Thankfully I don't get fully pinned in, I am able to get away still in the lead, but having lost a bunch of time. And as you can see, Ethan is now right behind me and Zambo and Jason are both closed to within 2.5 seconds. David then takes a decent line through 2 and into 3, leaving me not too much opportunity to get past him. I decide to have a go up the inside of 4, hoping for some grip on the different surface on the apex. Unfortunately I don't find any and David passes me back with a switchback.
Come on, where's the blue flags? Do I have to try to overtake him or what? Left car.
I finally pass David through turn 5, but I've lost a bunch of time and you can see Ethan alongside of me as we come out of the corner. And with the pressure starting to build, I'm messy through turn 6 and slide pretty much between 6 and 7. And then I get a bad run coming out of 8, having to opposite lock and bogging down. And it's at that point that Ethan manages to slip past me into the lead. Finishing the lap 1.5 seconds off in 2nd place, but with Jason right behind me, having finally got past Zambo. Ethan then goes very deep into turn 2, but I can't capitalise as I run a little bit too deep. For once I get quite a good entry into 5, but manage to make a bit of a mess on the exit and run wide, giving Ethan a bit of breathing space. Despite that, I still set my fastest sector 1 of the race, and then Ethan succumbs to the pressure, losing it at turn 6. Slight bump for me on the way through, but I'm back into the lead. Take a quick look behind me as I come through 7th, and I see Jason right behind me. Again, a little bit loose coming out of turn 7 and heading down to turn 8. Coming into turn 8, again I don't take the wet line, I cut across the corner, which gives me a poor exit and just allows Jason to pass me on the inside, so back down into 2nd place. Jason stays on the inside coming into turn 9 and slides across the apex running wide, but he is able to control his kart before I can get alongside him. Coming across the line to finish lap 10 just behind Jason, with Jambo just behind me, and I assumed Ethan would be slightly further back following his crash. The digiboard timer had been down for the whole race, so I've got no idea how much time is left. I doubt I can pass Jason on the road, but he has already crashed from the lead, as Ethan just did, so I settle in to try and keep him honest and force him to make a mistake. As you saw, he was a little bit slow through 2 and 3, and we come through 4 and we run into some yellow flags, so we slow up. And then it turns out the yellow flags are for Ethan's crash at turn 6, where he's still stuck under the tyre barriers. Yellow still being shown at turn 7, which implies we're under a full course yellow while they have to rescue Ethan's kart. And sadly that was it for the racing, as we were under full course yellows to the end of the race. A slightly disappointing end to what had been an enjoyable if very tense race. Jason took the deserved win and was the fastest driver on the track. I was happy with second, although annoyed by my silly mistake while trying to lap David. I'd said at the start my best chance of a good result was to be consistent and not spin, and if I'd managed to avoid either of my 2 spins I think I would have won. And while I may feel aggrieved at a back marker appearing to race me, it is on me to be able to clear them without issue, so it leaves me things to work on for next time.